The Mi A3's launch in India seems imminent and it's expected to come in at around 16,000 rupees, which would make it a direct competitor to one of the most popular phones sold today, the Redmi Note 7 Pro. So how do these two stack up? What are the differences? Which is the better option? Well, let's find out in today's video. Hey guys, Ash here from C4eTech, and if you do end up liking what you see, please don't forget to turn on notifications by hitting that bell icon. So as always, let's start with the built-in design. Both phones have similar glass builds. There's Gorilla Glass 5 to the front and back with plastic in between. The Mi A3 is the more compact of the two. It's noticeably narrower and shorter, and that's because it's got a smaller display. And we will get to displays in a minute. Now the battery capacity is also similar, so if the A3 is shorter and narrower but has to have the same battery capacity, then Xiaomi needed to increase the thickness. So it's about 0.4mm thicker, but you don't really notice it at all since the A3 has 3D Gorilla Glass to the back. 3D glass is basically glass that curves a lot at the sides, so the A3 is more comfortable in hand, especially given that it's also about 12 grams lighter. From a looks perspective, it's personal preference, to each his own I guess, since both of these are of a similar quality. Personally, if you ask me, I'd give this round to the Mi A3 due to that 3D glass pack and compact form factor. Now as promised, let's talk display. The size isn't the only difference here. Both phones have dot-notch displays, as Xiaomi likes to call it, but the Redmi Note 7 Pro has an IPS LCD panel. It's 6.3 inches and the resolution is Full HD+. The A3 on the other hand uses a Super AMOLED panel. It's smaller at 6 inches and surprisingly, the resolution has taken a hit. It's only HD+. While AMOLEDs are definitely nicer than LCD panels, they are punchier and richer, but is the move to AMOLED worth the trade-off? I mean, is it worth taking a resolution bump? Frankly speaking, I wish we didn't have to answer this. I wish Xiaomi had gone with a Full HD Plus AMOLED panel on the A3 so that we didn't really have to choose between AMOLED or resolution. But sadly, for the first time in the A series, we've gotten an HD Plus panel. So as it stands, I'd have to go with the Redmi Note 7 Pro for the higher resolution. But if you wanted to choose the AMOLED panel, even though it's HD Plus, I mean, if you really liked AMOLED panels, I'd understand why you'd choose it. But again, in a way, this one boils down to personal preference too. I'll leave a poll here. You guys let me know what you choose. Is it HD plus AMOLED or IPS LCD plus Full HD plus? Let me know. Now, before we move on to specs, let's take a look at the sundries. Both phones sport hybrid slots and have IR blasters, so not much there. As for the audio output, the audio via the single downwards firing speaker, it was again quite similar. The Note 7 Pro was very marginally louder. I wouldn't even call it a big difference. Now, only when it came to audio via the headphone jack did I notice a solid difference. The Note 7 Pro has a much louder and richer output via the headphone jack, giving it a definitive lead over the A3. Now anyway, the A3 hits right back having an in-display fingerprint scanner. The Redmi Note 7 Pro on the other hand has a physical rear scanner. So the A3 scanner is slower, but it's also newer technology. So sundries, it's a tie. With that, let's move on to specs. Both phones sport 11nm chips. The Redmi Note 7 Pro has the more powerful Snapdragon 675. The A3 on the other hand uses the Snapdragon 665. The Snapdragon 665 actually has a 100 MHz advantage with the power efficient cores, but the Snapdragon 675 chip, it uses the more powerful Cryo 460 cores. Now these are based on the Cortex A76 and A55 instead of the Cryo 260 cores on the Snapdragon 665, which are based on the Cortex A73 and A53. So basically, long story short, the Note 7 Pro has much stronger internals. When it comes to gaming performance, the Adreno 612 on the Note 7 Pro is technically more powerful than the Adreno 610 on the A3, but remember the A3 has a lower resolution display, so it's fewer pixels that it's pushing, meaning both phones perform quite well with regards to games. Frame rates on the Note 7 Pro are a little more consistently stable though. With day-to-day usage, surprisingly the lower spec A3 ends up being snappier than the Redmi Note 7 Pro. It's probably due to the A3 being part of the Android One program and coming with just the basics. This is stock Android 9 Pie with almost everything left untouched. Apps open up quick and everything feels fast and fluid. The Note 7 Pro isn't slow, it just isn't as fast as the A3, and that's due to the heavier MIUI skin. MIUI comes with extra features, but it also comes with ads. That ad-supported nature of MIUI means the A3 wins here. It provides a far better user experience. Now, as far as battery goes, the A3 has a 40-30 mAh battery compared to 4000 mAh on the Redmi Note 7 Pro. Theoretically, the A3 is supposed to offer better battery life. It's got a smaller display, it's got a less powerful chip, but that's not the case. The Note 7 Pro is about 10 to 15% better. The reason here is that MIUI is a lot more battery friendly than stock Android. That said, either phone should be able to get you through a full day on a single charge, even with intense use. Talking about charge, both phones have support for 18-watt quick charge 4, but they come with 10-watt chargers in the box, so nothing there. With the Note 7 Pro having a slight edge with battery, we move on to the next part of this comparison, optics. Both phones have multi-camera setups to the back. The Redmi Note 7 Pro has 2, while the Mi A3 has 3. The primary sensor, it's the same on both phones. It's a 48-megapixel IMX586 with a f1.79 lens. It's not just identical hardware, but it's identical software too, since despite the Mi A3 being an Android One device and coming with stock, the camera app, the camera software, it's still Xiaomi. So the results are more or less similar. At times, one image turns out brighter than the other, but this happens with both phones. It's not just one over the other. The Note 7 Pro was brighter in these two instances. And now, if you see here, the Mi A3 is actually brighter. With Lowlight, the results again are close, but there's some difference in the processing. While the Mi A3's images are a little sharper, they do come with higher noise levels. The Note 7 Pro's images are a bit cleaner, but they are lacking in detail. This is probably due to the different ISPs that these two phones use. Now with video, both phones can shoot 4K at up to 30 FPS. The Note 7 Pro's footage seemed rich and brighter. While the Note 7 Pro has minor wins so far, the A3 hits back with one comprehensive advantage. It has an 8-megapixel sensor with a wide-angle lens. This lets the A3 do something the Note 7 Pro just cannot. For portraits, the Note 7 Pro does have a higher resolution depth sensor and does perform slightly better with regards to edge detection, but the A3 has an option to increase the bokeh, so you do get blurrier backgrounds. With selfies, the Mi A3's 32-megapixel shooter captures better detail and skin tones compared to the Note 7 Pro's 13-megapixel selfie camera. So overall, given the A3 and the Note 7 Pro's primary and secondary cameras are pretty evenly matched, the A3's ultra-wide and selfie cameras end up being the difference. So the Mi A3 wins cameras. And now, let's talk pricing. Well, the Redmi Note 7 Pro starts at 14,000 rupees for the 464 variant. The Mi A3 is not yet on sale in India officially, but then going by the European pricing, where it's priced the same as the Mi A2 at launch, I'd expect it to come in at the same price as the Mi A2 at launch, which is about 17,000 rupees. Maybe they get a little more competitive and drop it by 1,000 or 2,000 rupees, but either way, it is expected to be pricier than the Note 7 Pro. Now, what does that mean? It means the Note 7 Pro still remains the best value for money option. The A series has traditionally had stronger than Note internals with stronger than Note cameras, but not anymore. The Note 7 Pro matches the A3's cameras and offers better internals. Again, there is one sensor in the selfie that the A3 does better, but for the most part, the Note 7 Pro does match it. The Note 7 Pro it seems like it's the better option. You do get a good build, a great chip, excellent battery life with stellar optics. The only con here would be the ad-riddled MIUI. If you don't want to deal with MIUI, if you like stock Android, and you want that ultra-wide camera, the better selfie option along with an in-display fingerprint scanner and an AMOLED, albeit a lower resolution display, the Mi A3 could make sense. That said, if you ask me just what's the better device between these two, what's better bang for your buck, I'm definitely going to say Redmi Note 7 Pro. So there you have it, my take on the Note 7 Pro versus the Mi A3. Now, if you had to choose between these two, what would you pick and why? Let me know in the comments below. And with that, we get to the end of this comparison video. Thumbs up, thumbs down based on whatever you felt about it. Subscribe, turn on notifications by hitting that bell icon if you haven't yet. Thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, my name's Ash. You've been watching C4E Tech, and I'm signing off for now. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.